Testing, testing, 1, 2. Testing, 1, 2. Let's see. How do I sound today? Probably scratchy and terrible. So, all right. So today, we're going to be doing some VFX work. Let me see. I want to check something real quick before we get into things. Okay. So let me move this out of the way. I'm sure nobody feels like seeing that little thing there in the bottom corner of the screen that I can see. So, all right, so today we are going to be doing some visual effects work. And as you can see here in this shot from a feature film that I'm working on, they have these cardboard boxes here, and we're going to be replacing that with something. We haven't figured out what yet, but I'm going to find some assets, and this is going to be maybe trash bags or maybe a dumpster. I haven't figured out exactly what I'm going to use yet, but you'll see here in a moment. So let's see. You probably can't see it at all, though, because you're not seeing this. So, all right. So I'm going to be replacing the cardboard boxes you kind of see here in the screen. Wrong button. Let's go with preview monitor. So, all right. So there's a chicken here, and there's some cardboard boxes here. Now, when they were filming, they put the boxes here to kind of keep the chicken contained, but they weren't thinking about the fact that, you know, this is over by a dumpster. As seen, yes, Adobe, I know there's updates, but I don't trust you. So you can see there's a dumpster over here where he's looking at said chicken. And the premise, though, is that, you know, he's in, this chicken here is in, you know, an area where there's a dumpster. So the cardboard boxes look a little awkward. And if we go to our source, I want that one. If we go up to our source monitor, let me go ahead and throw this in the source monitor so you can see what it looks like. Hang on a moment. Right click. Oh my goodness, everybody and their brother just keeps on messaging me today while I'm trying to do work. There we go. Now nobody can bother us. It's just us now. So let's see. So this clip here we go. Now it wants to cooperate. Let me go ahead and zoom out. Go here, fit. So you can see there's a bunch of cardboard boxes here. And when they shot it, and I think originally they wanted to have the chicken more in the center of the shot, but when you go to zoom in on this kind of stuff, it doesn't look as good. So I got asked if we could maybe try and replace the cardboard boxes with something. So I might actually use this portion of the scene to do it. So we shall see how successful we are and what avenues we have to be able to do this replacement. I haven't come up with anything yet. I have a few ideas, but the ideas that I have right now are mostly either trying to comp something over these cardboard boxes, or we're going to do a basically cutout of the chicken here and try and put this chicken in another shot. So we'll see how that goes. So let's go ahead and start with getting this shot. We're going to, let me go ahead and go to the timeline so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to go to the shot and zoom in on it so you can make sure you see what I'm doing. I'm right clicking on it and I'm going to do replace with After Effects composition. And I started working on it actually earlier, which I'm sure you'll see now. But it's going to open up a new comp of it. And let's see. Let me go back here for a moment. I go here. And let's see why I don't want that. I want. Let me see. Sorry, I just got to copy over a couple things real quick. Right. Copy. All right. I apologize for this right now. Just give me a moment. I want to make sure you can see what I'm working on. So let me see real quick. Why are you doing the whole... Oh, I know why. I want scene, not source. Yeah, all screen, scene, scene, timeline. All right, so let me get back into After Effects. All right. So let's see. How does this look? All right, so you're seeing everything from my After Effects right now. And yeah, it looks a little messy, but it does make sense because my setup here is a little different than how it normally is. You can't see it, but up here is the timeline on the other side. go right here. You'll see my timeline of how I have, because I have a triple monitor setup, so it makes it a little crazier. Go. So here's my preview window. And then over here, this is my timeline and stuff. And then up here will be my sources and, well, my project stuff, my effects and presets. This screen over here is kind of just like everything that you possibly need, but all on one space. So it makes it very, very nice to be able to just have it right here versus different things. Now there is something else that I use called control panel, which when you click on, whenever you click on your clip, if you hold, you download it from Video Copilot, and if you hit Control Space or Command Space, it comes up with this little prompt here, and then you can type in whatever effect. So I can type in, you know, tint, and then I hit Enter. It applies it to the clip. No problem. Done. Really cool. I really enjoy it. So I think for the most part, though, we're probably going to just be on preview monitor, because there's really not much going on the timeline that you need to see, unless like I'm going and doing like, you know, different blend modes. But again, for the most part, I feel like, you know, this is going to probably be our best bet, is just looking at our source monitor. So let me see. Let me set the scale back to 100, and then P for position, reset, so that way we're looking at everything here. And then let's move the chicken shot later. I hit Y, which allows me to basically keep the entire timeline the way it is, but it's moving the clip to a different point for the start. So I can have it where, you know, now I got the chicken in the middle of the shot versus how it was before. So, nice. So, all right, Mr. Chicken, how are we going to make you somewhere else and not have these ugly cardboard boxes? Let's see, let's have it where your head is. Right there. I like that a little better. So, here's the clip, playback. Now, I am going to do an interesting trick that I picked up not that long ago, to where we can actually get the camera movement to tie in with whatever clip we're using, so that way it helps stabilize it a little better. Or at least to give you that, you know, illusion that this shot is organic. So let's go ahead and let's see. I did get a few clips earlier of different shots of like trash, you know, building stuff. I haven't figured out which clip is going to work best. So I might try this one here. I feel like it's going to work. It's an evening shot, which is nice. So I'll be able to actually, I feel like it'll blend in pretty well. I won't have to do too much color correction to make it look like it's nighttime, because that'll save me some time. So let's see. Let's go ahead and let's scale you up a bit more. Yeah. See, our chickens are right about there. Now maybe let's play this clip real quick. a pretty static shot. And that's awesome, because if we comp this into our chicken shot, basically the camera movement will, when we go to track it in, it'll move with this no problem. We won't have to be conflicting. But if I move this chicken into this shot, we're gonna have to stabilize that chicken. So those are some concerns that we have right now. Let me get rid of that. So, all right, let's see. One thing we can do is let's kind of just play around with our different blend options. Let's do add. Let's see, color dodge. No. It's always fun playing with these, just seeing what happens. There we go. That'll be it. That's the shot. But no, we're gonna have this set back to normal, and let's go ahead and hit G for our pen tool. And let's see. You know what? Actually, I think this might actually be one of those instances where cutting the chicken out might be better. We're just gonna draw a quick garbage mask around our chicken. Now chicken is here. And then I'm going to go over here, click on our clip. We're going to do a warp stabilizer. And that is going to then stabilize our clip for us. Let's see. It's going. Not too bad. It's only 67 frames, so it's not like it's a lot. I'm just using warp stabilizer. Sometimes I get really good stuff with it. Other times it makes the shot worse than it was. So we'll see how this works out. And then our next task basically will be, once we get this decently done, we're going to then cut out the other elements to be able to bring this chicken in, to be able to place the chicken in here somewhere, or I don't know. We'll see. It's the city here doesn't match how the shot was prior to it, so all right, let's see how stable our chicken is now. Yeah, I was afraid of that. It's going to start moving the mask. So what we can do, though, is, because we know we can see that the mask is moving, we'll just get rid of our mask. Let's see, how about we do no motion instead? I just realized you haven't been able to see me at all. All right, so let's see. So it looks like it has been stabilized. Let's go ahead and do playback. Nice. Our chicken is nice and still. So, all right. So now we know we got a nice still shot here. I am actually going to pre-compose this so that way we can, let's see, chicken still. So now I'm going to grab my pen tool, and like I said before, draw that garbage mask here. Oh, I made a shape instead of a mask. Isn't that silly? So like I said, press G on your keyboard and that is your pen tool. So just trying to draw a rough mask around the chicken. And now you'll notice that the mask here is not lining up with the shot, interesting enough. And that's because of our stabilization. So you just need to, when you go to work on something like this, just keep that in mind that, you know. But if I play it back though, it should be nice and stable still. Oh no, it's moving. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and do mask. We're gonna go inside the actual still here. And let's see if that mask moves. Yeah, it's still moving because the mask, if you notice, the mask still moves because it's showing basically how that chicken is moving. Or because when you have so basically when you have something that's in After Effects, for instance, this comp that we're working on right now. Let me get rid of the mask. Yeah, I just want the chicken still shot. Let's take warp stabilizer. Control X off of our shot there, and we're going to put it in here. And I'm actually going to move this. I think our shot moved somehow from what my original starting point was. Yeah, it has. It's moved. So I wanted the chicken to be more in the center of the shot rather than off to the far left here. And somehow it moved. So we're fixing that. Here, I'm going to get rid of warp stabilizer for right now. It's kind of interesting that our main comp is not showing up. So get rid of the chicken still. All right, so I've gotten out all my comps. I'm going to open up a new one, or open up the existing one. All right, there's our trash there. little trick in case for some reason it's not showing up like it did. Let me go back here. So there we go. That should be what you guys want to see. So at first there was no picture there, so almost like there was just nothing there at all. So I took my still that I was using here, which I'm going to go in here right now because this is not where the frame I wanted it to stay at is. Let me see. Because in this shot here, it's a very sharp camera movement. But yeah, we want our chicken starting much later. But I think because we brought this in from, let me move this out, yeah. So sometimes you might run into issues like this, and what I recommend doing a lot of times is if that happens, you can also have an issue when it just, for some reason, you brought it in because that's where on your edit for your timeline, you had the chicken, or you had, whatever shot you're working on at. I mean, it's a pretty short shot overall on Premiere. If I go into the Premiere window here, I mean, this shot is roughly, let's see, let me close out of that. Oh, not OBS. Stream Deck, close window. So if you look at in here on the timeline, the shot that we're working on is, let's see here, I'll show you on the preview monitor down here in the lower corner. Once you've marked an in and out point, it'll tell you how long that in and out point is. So 2 seconds and 19 frames. So I've got that knowledge that, okay, the shot's only 2 seconds and 19 frames long for this one. So if I go back in here, oh, that's OBS, I'm on After Effects. And I'm looking at my timeline, 2 second mark right here. I mean, I can zoom in more on it. Now we can see our frames a little more. But I mean, here's our 3 second mark. So we know it's only going to be in this range over here. So we know we can move this clip over more. It's okay to just drag it and have this dead space over here. So, all right. So, let's see. I've actually got this shot here that I thought might actually work nice for what we need to do. It kind of has that back alley feel to it. And I feel like, especially with the gravel road here, I might be able to blend this a little bit with the cardboard boxes that we currently have as well. So let's see. how well we can work with this shot. In conjunction with everything. Let me get rid of the trash one that we had before. And trash buildup along with our chicken still, which by the way, we need to stabilize this. So again, we're gonna go our warp stabilizer, click on it for the clip. And it's initializing. It just loves to do that. And actually, I want no motion as my result. So it's doing the entire clip as opposed to say just, you know, this many, you know, the amount of frames that we need. But it's okay. Not a problem. Let's see. So we are going to, once we get this stabilized, I mean, we can probably start masking, you know, just doing like a quick garbage mask of the chicken. I feel like that's going to be a good way to do this, is kind of try and bring this chicken into another shot. It's a pretty big chicken if you look at the shot right now, the way it is. So let's go ahead and scale our chicken down. Not too much, but you know, roughly maybe the size of this box here. Let's maybe go 50% on the. I keep feeling like this is probably going to be our best bet on this, and I need to scale this up so that way it fits the frame properly. Or when we go to do our other stuff. So actually I might be able to make this chicken a little bit bigger than it is, so let's go maybe 65%. Let's check on our, we're at 13%. All right, so now I would possibly recommend using some sort of keying to get rid of like the cardboard, stuff like that, but I think what we're gonna ultimately have to do here is either roto our chicken, sounds like an interesting thing, I know, but basically rotoscoping, or painting each frame of just the chicken. We can use just masking to kind of just like get it approximate, and then we can use our masking here on the timeline where we can then feather it, and then after we feather it, we can then refine how much it blends into the original shot. We can even do maybe, let's see, no, not overlay. Not color dodge, where is it? Multiple. So no blending modes that we can really use easily, but we can zoom in, we can look at this here. We can also utilize mask expansion and set it to a negative number and kind of work from there and just add extra points to our mask currently. I mean, again, our other options are, you know, using something like Mocha, which is a paid plugin, but it's also, there is a free version of it inside of After Effects, which is huge, and it's amazing. It's an amazing tool to use for doing planar tracking. I feel like that might work out a little better for when we go to, if we decide to do tracking the shot in. I mean, like right now I'm kind of just working with the mask tool, but we're gonna have to do this for, you know, each frame roughly that our chicken's moving around. We're gonna have to move all these points and everything, which, you know, not a problem. You know, it can look clean. We can decontaminate some of the edges. That's always an option. But I mean, right now it's starting to look pretty good just with even just using the existing garbage mask that I made. I'm gonna really try and refrain from using like Red Giant plugins, because I want to be able to have, you know, show you stuff that you can do without having to rely on, you know, expensive plugins and stuff. Because at the end of the day, you know, I mean, most of this stuff should be stuff that you should be able to do on your own, and not necessarily something that, you know, oh, well, I had to pay for, you know, all these expensive things to be able to do this shot. You know, After Effects is so powerful that a lot of times you can do this stuff without having to pay for a lot of the expensive stuff that you pay for. Ironically enough, you can do in After Effects. It just, they found a way to make it a little easier for you. Which, I mean, I have a lot of Red Giant stuff, and I love using it. But again, I mean, you know, do I have to use it? No, I don't. But it helps out, especially on quicker stuff. So, as you can see, we're just moving the mask here. And it's just, you know, just trying to get it to where we see little of the ground and background and more of just the chicken. And yeah, you're going to see a little bit of a halo around the chicken. But we're going to do a little something. We're going to try out LumaKey. And LumaKey is a very interesting tool that helps you with keying out specific luminosity of a shot of something in the shot. So I can increase tolerance of it. And right now I have it set to key out darker. So now to see though what we're keying out though, I mean, I usually like to go extreme with it to see where it's going for stuff. And then I go from there. So I might go like, you know, I start seeing like, okay, you know, it's starting to attack, you know, those darker areas in the shot that are still there. I can play around with the tolerance a bit, set to 0, set it to, you know, 255, and that's ultimately going to be where, you know, we start seeing some stuff move around. You know, edge thin, -5, +5 on it. Let's try feathering and increasing our threshold. So we start to see, yeah, that's helping out a lot. Oh, we don't want to lose the, I can't think of the term for it right now, but the red here on the chicken, we don't want to lose out on that. So we can maybe just use our up arrow and just one by one start to slowly. And what's nice is because of this, we can probably extend this out a little more. See what happens with the shot. See, like for instance, now we're starting to see from the cardboard box here. But you can also see though, unfortunately, the chicken is losing parts. So LumaKey may not be our best option. key out dissimilar. See, you know, like something like key out dissimilar is really nice when you're doing like chroma or green screen stuff, because it's going to be like, oh, that color's way different. Let me get rid of that for you. But I don't think Luma key is going to be our answer for with this shot. Let's see. Let's try color difference key. So we can select box there. Bring our chicken back in with the partial A in white. I want to set that all the way up. Let's see, I want to see this in. What'll be nice to do is we'll just simply do source. We can do corrected final, which is going to show us basically all our different options. For that one, A, B, matte, corrected, final. But we want ideally either final output, or you want to see your matte. Well, yeah, your matte here. So you can see where, you know, essentially what we're keying out. Matte uncorrected. So I don't feel like that's going to work well either. I want to use a little bit of keying though to be able to help out with this. See, I was afraid. Let me go into the actual shot here of the chicken. And we're going to go control space. Let's give key light a shot. So, and I want to set this to source alpha. Oh, corrected source. Color correction edges. And there's screen matte. Let's go back to final result. See, the problem with this shot is there's a lot, like there's so much brown involved in it. It's very difficult to separate what we want to key and what we don't. So I think what we're going to have to do here is leave our chicken the way it is. And what we're going to do is instead, let's see, let's go ahead and check out this shot here again. And I'm going to kind of try and figure out, you know, where exactly I want the chicken in relation to this shot. Man, I almost might say, you know, this might be our best bet, is actually just doing a mask. Get rid of that key light out of that. Let me see. Now we will probably need to make our trash shot here look more like it's in the nighttime, so that we can do while we're waiting on this to stabilize. So first thing we're going to want to do, and this is something that I do with all of my day for night shots, because this was clearly shot during the day. We are actually going to duplicate this clip by doing Control D or Command D, depending on what you're using. And I want to apply a tint. So I'm going to do Control Space on our clip, which is going to bring up FX command. And you can get this handy tool from Video Copilot, as I mentioned earlier. And I'm going to type in tint. And now you can't see it right now because the clip is on the bottom, but if I bring this one up, now you can see it's black and white. And what you want to do ideally is you want to pick, say like the bag, we're gonna, that's how tint can work. And what I like to do with it is I like to keep it on the bottom, and then I set my top, I'll show you real quick. What I typically do is, so this will be our, I'm going to rename this to our trash tint. And it's going to be our trash night shot. So we've got those named appropriately. And what I like to do is I like to usually have the top one be kind of like an overlay. And you notice it kind of gives a more gritty feel to it. But what we're also going to do is, this is actually where some stuff comes in really handy when you shoot raw. This clip, well, this one here was not shot, unfortunately, in on a red like our feature film was. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do lumetri, which is then going to allow me to work on different corrections of the image. So I can now bring the exposure down a little bit. And I've never really been a big person on like just going like a bluer tint for nighttime shots, because in my opinion it just doesn't work. Like, yeah, a lot of people think, okay, it's, nighttime, but it's not. There's a lot of stuff that gets lost. And actually, I want to see if I have a soft light. Yeah, I think actually soft light might actually work better for this. And if I bring down our exposure to -5 on this original shot here, and then what we're going to actually do is we're going to warm up the shot, oddly enough. You'll see why. So our trash tint, we're going to bring this down a little bit. And you can see it's gotten a lot more contrasty. There's these harder lines. You're losing some detail in the shadows, which, in a nighttime scene, it kind of works out. I want to check on this chicken. How much longer? It's claiming 14 minutes. I don't know why it's taking so long for warp stabilizer to go. I mean, I know it's just over 1,000 frames, but oh well. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and just keep our chicken off for right now. So that way we can kind of just focus on this shot right here. And now if you look at how this shot is, there's a lot of stuff going on. If you look at the lighting, because that's the biggest thing when you're selling a nighttime shot, is lighting. You have a lot, your light source is pretty much coming from like right here. You can see the shadows and everything. And I'm actually going to do a tint on this one here. And we're going to tint our yellow, or our white, to more of a yellow. And the reason why we're actually going to go a little bit more green on it, and you're going to see why in just a moment. We're going to duplicate this clip. Well, not the effect, but we're going to duplicate the clip by clicking on the one we want to duplicate, Control D. And yeah, that's really contrasty, like way too much going on, like you're losing too much. And yeah, it looks really bad right now, but what we're going to do is we're going to set our blacks more to like a dark bluish purple. And what's going to happen is now I'm going to actually get rid of this tint here. And I'm going to create a mask on this top one. Go back to this real quick. Actually, let's do hit G for our pen tool. And we're going to kind of just start to draw a bit of a mask here. The reason for that is because we are going to create a light source. And to help sell it, because we want to have it look like there's a light coming from above causing this color. So when we bring up our mask, just kind of just draw it roughly, how you see from everything. And I feel like the bags, especially with the color and everything, and you'll see here in a moment what I'm talking about, but we're going to go ahead and open up our mask tool. And just if you open it up and it just shows like mask path, if you double tap the mask or double tap M, it'll bring up all the properties for the mask. So I'm going to actually feather this out quite a bit, because this is basically going to give us our illusion that, the light source is fading off and falling off. And if we want, we can expand our mask overall. And let's see, I think I want that one. And I'm going to apologize now in advance to anyone that's new watching on the stream right now. Typically, the controls that I'm using right now are set up more for my Premiere workflow rather than what's going on in After Effects. I kind of just copied over how I set up my windows and everything right now. So anyways, if you look at it, it's going to eventually start looking like a light source rather than anything else. And we can then tint our original shot pretty dark. Again, I don't recommend going blue, but we can stay within the blue to help bring it to nighttime. So like I said, you don't want to have it just like blue, because as you can see in the shot right now, like it looks like, just a blue wall, blue ground, like everything's blue. But if you go more towards, where you're affecting, the luminance values of the shot, it looks dark. It looks like it's nighttime. And you have that little bit of blue because there's lack of, the sunlight and the sky. But it looks dark. It looks like it's nighttime. So we're going to work more on our lighting situation here, because we want to have this look like it's an actual light. So I know I had talked about doing tint and everything else with this, but rather than that, what we're going to do is we're going to keep it like this, but we're actually going to add we're going to right click into our timeline here. We're going to go new, solid. And this is where we're going to pick kind of roughly what color we want our light source to be. So, you want to think about like an alleyway. You don't have the best lighting usually in alleyways. And if you look at our prior shot with the chicken here, let me switch back over. I mean, if you look at this shot here, you kind of have like this orangey glow going on. And so you want to have it where you're going to show that color. So when we go to do this, we're going to match that color that we just saw. And when we go into After Effects here, well, let's bring up that. So we're going to stay roughly in this more orangey, golden color. And we can always fix this later, to match better. But now you see, bam, whole screen is covered in this giant color. But I'm going to take that mask that we did right here. I'm going to do Control X or Command X, and then I'm going to do paste onto here. And magically, we now have our light source started. Now we're going to do a soft light, and that's going to create more of, this. It almost looks like it's been painted, the wall. Like if I click to where you don't see that, I mean, it looks like there is this going on here. And then you've got the shine from the bags, which, this is just the start of with the light source. We still need to add a little bit of glow to it, which we should be able to do. Let me do Control Space, glow. And it's really bright right now, but we can fix that. Bring our threshold up. And we're going to bring it to right around 91 glow radius. I think we can bring that around somewhere. But what's nice is, while we're working on this, we can always adjust the masking for the light source. It's really bright. We want to have more fall off with this. So what I'm going to do actually is, I'm actually going to extend the mask out more. And I'm going to go back into my mask properties. And I'm going to take back some of that expansion that I did. And as I bring it back, you're going to notice the overall shape is going to shrink. But what that allows me to do is it allows me just to expand the mask out a lot more when I go into the mask properties. So I don't really want to have our back wall there, but I think what I'm going to do more is bring the light source coming from up this way, falling off on the bags. So we're actually going to make our mask a little smaller. And then kind of add pen tool. Kind of just get the bags to catch a little bit more of the light. So outside of that weird bubble here that I made, we can just use these handles here because apparently this became more like a Bezier. We can just kind of bring this out a bit. I don't really want that wall to be quite as yellow. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to delete that clip there. Delete that one there. But as you see, because we're using light, or we're using soft light as our blend option, you're starting to notice that the bags, they have more of a brighter property than the rest of the image, and as it falls off, it's getting darker like it would in real life. And I mean, again, we can play around with the expansion and really work on, how we want this light source to be. And again, the effect that we're using right now is called glow. So glow is allowing us to be able to have this a lot more of a shine to it. And we can either composite on top of the shot, behind it. I kind of like actually how it falls on the bags with it on top. And then we can set it to multiply. Or better yet, let's do hard light and set this to normal. But you see, if I set it to normal, then that happens. So there's different blend options that you can do, and each one is very, very critical on how you utilize it. So like overlay works really well. Could you color burn me? And color phase. Color B. All right, let's see. No, we don't want color loops. All right, so let me see how this looks so far. All right, so I'm just gonna play back a little bit of it. Because remember, this is only gonna be like 2 seconds worth of actual footage when it comes down to everything. So it's looking pretty decent right now. Now our next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna make a new solid. So new solid. We're gonna name this one Saber. And like I said before, this is all stuff that is free to use within After Effects or something that you can download that you can use as a tool. That's not going to cost you any extra money. And one of those things is probably my favorite tool to use. And that is called Saber from Video Copilot. Surprise, you're going to hear a lot of that. If you haven't heard of Video Copilot, go check them out. They have a lot of free great tutorials and tools for After Effects. So I'm going to use Saber, and that's going to create this nice little black line here, or this little line here, which basically the founder of Video Copilot had worked on Star Wars doing lightsaber effects, and he decided to make this plugin that allows you to basically make lightsabers. But it's more than just that. So there's all sorts of different choices on what you can have in your shot. So it starts off as a default with just this black or just this blue line. So that's all you see. But it's so much more, because you can have what they call arc reactor, which if you play it, it has animation. It moves. It's a really cool use with lightning and other things like that. But what I'm going to use it for, though, is there's actually, ironically enough, a section called Neon, which is great because it's just a solid line of solid color. So you don't have to worry about, oh, is it going to do anything. But what's nice about this is, let's say for instance you wanted to have some like cool text. Let's just type in cool text. Not exactly the biggest, but you'll see what we're going to do here in a moment. So if we go to our Saber tool and we go to customize core type, text layer, you can then pick cool text. And now your text that you have is going to have that glow to it, but we can make it bigger. Let's see, so now it has it's backwards right now, but I'll flip it around real quick. You're going to want to make sure that you play around, you know, to figure out how you want your words to look and everything. But basically, though, the bigger it is, the easier that it is to work with when you're doing this. Because some of the glow options and everything can get quite unruly. But if we look at our Saber plugin here, you can set the color, you can change the glow intensity, you know, you can bring it up more. I mean, there's different options. You can have it where, you know, your text has really cool looking stuff going on with it, and then if your text, if you mute the, or, you know, poke out the eye for the layer, then it'll just be out an outline of your text, because basically what it does is it uses it kind of like a mask, which that's how we're going to be using it today, is with a mask. So if I go ahead and turn off this layer here, and I'm going to, just so that way I can see our layer here, I'm going to select our Saber layer though. I'm going to press G, and I'm going to make a mask up here. Nothing fancy. Now if I bring our Saber back, and I go, instead of text layer, I go layer mask, you're not going to see anything up here from the mask. I bring it down, now it's starting to look like something. Do neon. So it's kind of like, you know, a couple neon, it almost looks like, you know, a neon light. Now, if you're looking at it going, huh, how come I can't see, you know, the rest of the shot? It's because right now, that's how this is. But if you can use an option called unmult, which is going to remove all the black. So if you go up to animation, or rather effect, I believe it's under utility, usually. Let's see. I get spoiled with using FX console that sometimes I forget where the actual tools are. But the tool that you are looking for is called unmult. And like I said, that's going to remove all the black for you. I believe it's under channel. Isn't it? No, not channel, maybe color correction. Nope. Ah, there we are. Null, unmult. And that did the wrong clip for it. So we're going to click on our Saber, go Effect, Null, Unmult, and voila! The clip is now, all the black is gone. Now, I know you're looking at it going, well, that doesn't look like the same color that you picked for your lighting, for the fall off and everything, and you're right. But here's what we're going to do, is we are going to get this color by double clicking on our, right here, to bring this up, and then I'm going to take my solid, and this is something that we should have done properly earlier by making sure we got the color of what our solid was that we made. Let me close out on these. Actually, if we go over to solids, up here. So, all right, so if we take medium yellow 1, click on it, is then going to bring up nice big solid yellow. We do control space on it. Let me escape out of that. So medium yellow. It's going to be a little difficult and tricky here, but we're going to make this work. So we know this needs to be that yellowish green. So we can actually, because our wall's white here, pick like this color roughly right here. Select OK. And then what we're going to do is we are going to blast the hell out of this light. I mean, we're going to bring it up as much as possible. I mean, look at that. It's just ridiculous. But we can actually create our glow to shine really far out. If we just start maxing everything out, see how everything goes. See how we're starting to get a little bit, you know, when I brought that core size up tremendously, you start to see that shine from the light. That's really what we want right there. Kind of just barely bring it in the shot. Too much. And then we can also go under glow settings itself and just start increasing intensity of the glow. Increase our multiplier. We can actually reduce our core size considerably. We should be able to still have that glow be huge. Yep. And actually, I'm going to redo our mask for this. As just a straight line. Doesn't need to be anything else fancy. But this way though, what I can do is I can kind of work it almost like a point light. And then we can bring this, you know, this is where most of our glow is going. We don't want to see our actual core or anything in the shot. Let's see. Bring this down more. Just for curiosity's sake. Oh. Yeah, we're having like next to no fall off from this actual glow is the problem. So we're going to start looking at glow intensity 2, which definitely does not work because it went way too high. So I'm actually going to reset this. And this is another trick that I've done as well, is the blue line here. You know, we can change the color like we did before. So we'll set it to roughly, you know, this yellow here on the wall. And then we can press OK. You know, we don't want the size big. We want the size smaller. but we want to get that glow going. Because that fall off from the glow is really what helps sell, you know, that there's an actual light source. So the more that we can convince that happening, the better. Okay, so I place it right about here. You know, you can see the core, but you see this bulge here. That's where we're having a problem. But oddly enough, if I bring this just barely above it, we don't have that issue. And that's because of the halo. Or rather, our glow size is what the issue really is. We have to bring this down. Because you can see the bar changing size. So let's set this to 1 or 2 rather. And we're just going to bring this way up, our glow intensity. Nope. Did we see if we broke it? Yep, we pushed it way too far. Hence why we get all these warnings. Basically, massive dump file happened. All right, so let me get rid of these shape layers. Yep. Okay. Always a fun time. So, let me see. I'm going to probably have to close out of After Effects real quick. And let me see. Yeah, these are things that, you know, when you're working on stuff, you don't always expect to happen, but it can. So if it does happen to you, don't worry. Just restart. And for instance, you know, I brought Premiere back up. And what I did was I right-clicked on here. And this is whenever you need to change anything in your After Effects compositions. I always right-click on there and I hit Edit Original. And because Premiere is always going to be live updating this going on. And if you run into some issues with memory and whatnot, you can actually, once you get After Effects open, you can actually just completely close out of Premiere. And then the next time you open up Premiere, it's going to be updated with your new shot, which is a really, really nice thing about with dynamic linking. So I'm actually going to close out of Premiere, you know, allow it to have that memory allocation go to that. Yes, I'm going to save. But let's see. quick. All right. All right. Cool. So let's go ahead and switch back. We're going to do open project, chicken trash. All right, so this was actually another attempt I was doing before I decided to start live streaming it today. And when I was kind of toying around with the idea of what I was going to do, but we're not concerned with that right now. We're going to do open recent. Not showing our most recent one that we worked on, unfortunately. So I think for right now, I'm going to take a break from the stream and work on this. So I will see you all later. Have a good day.